And now you're looking at Dave McGinnis, whose Cardinals are one of 2 teams in the NFL not to win on the road this year. But this is the McGinnis regime, and he hopes it's not as an interim head coach. And Denny Green, of course, who knows how to get into a team's head, Matt, and bring him back, and he's got to do it after 2 losses.
I think I'm still trying to catch my breath. Hold on a second. Now, Denny Green has done fantastic, and I think the best thing he does is he gets his team to play hard for him each and every Sunday. All the other stuff doesn't matter. What matters is when the time they blow this whistle and kick it off to the end of the game.
Cardinals have won the toss, and Mitch Berger will kick off for Minnesota. And Marte Jenkins, who had 2 sensational kick returns last week, back for the Cardinals, and he gets hit and is stopped just beyond the 25-yard line. So Jake Plummer, who more interceptions than any other quarterback in the NFL, leads the Cardinals, and the offensive line, and it's been shuffled once again. Matt Joyce returns to left guard, and Chris Dishman is in right guard, replacing Lester Holmes out with a knee injury. Michael Pittman, the running back. David Boston is shaken up with a hamstring pull, did not work out this week, and was hobbling in practice. There is Boston.
He was hobbling in the pregame as well. He just got a little bit of a hitch.
1st and 10 at the 27. And the handoff to Pittman, trying to go outside, and he doesn't get much, maybe a yard. Minnesota Vikings defense. And up front, Chris Hovan, the rookie who has played well, to Lance Sawyer and John Randall. Randall moving to defensive end in week 5. McDaniel, Wong, and Rudd are the linebackers. And another change in the secondary. Kenny Wright replaces Chris Dishman at cornerback. The rookie Tyrone Carter moved in at free safety Monday night for Orlando Thomas. 2nd and 9, and Plummer looking to pass for the first time, and it's complete to Sanders. And Sanders on his feet gets the first down beyond the 40-yard line, where Kylie Wong making the tackle.
You know, looking at this Arizona team, the one thing that they have collectively said, and has been echoed the most by Dave McGinnis, is we've got to get the ball into the hands of Frank Sanders early. We've got to make him an integral part of the game plan early, so that defensively they have to try to take something away. And when that happens, then Michael Pittman becomes a factor.
Look at the sparse games that Sanders has had. Just 1 catch last week, but a gain of 14 from the 42-yard line. Good. Sprinting back and going for David Boston, and the pass is incomplete. Boston had apparently beaten his man out there, Keith Thibodeau, the nickel cornerback.
That right there, Dick, that was an injury pattern right there. That was an injury incompletion. Watch him you can see him in the pregame. He's just kind of hobbling around. In fact, I talked to him about that. He said, yeah, I can feel it. And then when you look at this footage and look at that last route that he ran, had he been healthy, that was a big play, because he ran right by Thibodeau, and that's a matchup that the Cardinals would love to have out there.
So they may have to go to Sanders not only early but often today. 2nd and 10 on the delay. Pittman going to lose yardage. And 2 Vikings coming in. Kylie Wong with another big play to Lance Sawyer as well, and a loss of 2.
That's just nicely done by the Minnesota Vikings defense, and that's Emmett Thomas, their defensive coordinator. You know, Dick, as I've watched this season develop, and since free agency, the one thing that I have seen is that the game plan and the game itself is played as much now from the booth as it is on the field with the players. You really have to be right in your defensive calls.
Marte Jenkins comes in as the 3rd wide receiver out of the shotgun. Plummer needing 12 yards, goes underneath, and Michael Pittman is stopped, and it'll bring up 4th down. So Dwayne Rudd, and it's been a good series for the Viking linebackers, and the Cardinals will have to punt.
And that's really their strength, Dick, because if these Cardinals can get to the secondary of this Viking team, then they have a shot. The strength of this Viking defense is the speed and play of their linebackers.
Scott Clair, leading the NFC in average at over 45 yards, will be kicking. David Palmer, who came back off the inactive list. He was missing for 5. Dropped inside the 15. And a timeout as the Vikings go on offense for the first time.
なんとか頑張ったんですがね、一つだけでしたね。
ランニングはできなかったですね。
そうですね。ああいうところで。
No score between the Cardinals and the Vikings. Dante Culpepper in his second year, but truly a rookie. Notice the drop in touchdown interception ratio and in completion percentage in the last two games. We'll start the Vikings from the 14.
Here's your matchup right at the top. That's going to be Aeneas Williams on the outside, right up here.
Here is Robert Smith. And everyone talks about the big receiving core, but Robert Smith, third in the league in rushing, picking up 3 yards on the play. Let's check out the Minnesota Vikings, starting with their offensive line. Matt Burke, the center, has played very well in his first year taking over that position. And you'll see Corey Stringer has played extremely well at right tackle. There is Stringer, number 77. Second down and 7. 2 wide receivers lined up in a stack to the right. Culpepper looking to throw. And he can do this. He can get out of danger, and he runs right into Ronald McKinnon. And McKinnon gets 2 yards on the play. And that'll bring up third down.
Well, the one thing I've seen with Dante Culpepper, and that's actually a good sign what you just saw there, because he's not, the last couple weeks he's tried to force the ball down the field. And I think what happens is he's getting more and more comfortable with his play and with his offense. And as you get more comfortable, you gain confidence. When you gain confidence, you think you can make plays. When you think you make plays that aren't there, you make mistakes.
3rd and 4, the Vikings like this situation. Matthew Hatchett, number 89, checks in as the 3rd wide receiver. And the pass to Chris Carter on a slant, and Carter gets the first down to the 30-yard line. Carter coming in as the leading receiver for the Vikings, gets 10 on that play.
You know, just like we said at the start of the game, Dick, when you start making so much and paying so much attention on the other side with Randy Moss, you're going to make sure that he's not going to beat you deep. Chris Carter will eat you alive. If you forget about him, he'll gnaw you to death because he'll just keep on moving those chains.
First down at the 30-yard line.
No help outside. Aeneas Williams, Randy Moss, all by themselves right down here.
Short drop and the pass out to Carter again. And Carter, trying to get the extra yard, does not get out of bounds. And he picks up 6 on that play with Corey Chavis making the tackle. Chavis starting at cornerback in place of Tommy Knight, who's bothered with a knee injury, but Knight is the nickel corner for Arizona.
Now, Dick, keep in mind that if on one side you're going to match up Aeneas Williams all day, that means Chavis on the other side is going to have to be matched up on Chris Carter all day.
And there is Knight, who had been the starter for the Cardinals. Second down and 4. And the give is to Robert Smith, diving forward, first down to the 42-yard line. McKinnon again on the tackle, but not before Smith gets 6.
This is what these receivers will do to you, just so you have an understanding at home. See, whenever your safeties are sitting back here, that means you have no support up top, which means the corners on the outside are the guys who have to help you. Everybody inside is accounted for in blocking. When you take your safeties and keep them back to protect from the deep ball, then that opens it up inside in the running game.
Vikings with 2 tight ends, John Davis and Andrew Jordan, lining up on their 43-yard line, and Robert Smith getting to the 45-yard line, a couple of yards, with Mao Tosi, the rookie defensive tackle from Idaho, on the play.
I think this is the best I've seen Robert Smith play consistently. He's had great bursts, and he's been able to string a lot of things together. But then he's been getting nicked up. This year he's been solid from the beginning all the way through. As a matter of fact, talking to Sherm Lewis, their offensive coordinator, who came over from Green Bay, he said Robert Smith was the biggest surprise to him. He didn't know he was this powerful.
Second and 8, Culpepper on the run, and he completes the pass. Chris Carter has been his man during this drive, and Carter picking up 18 yards. And right now, for a game break, let's return to James Brown in Los Angeles.
If Detroit can't beat Atlanta in the shape they're in right now, then That's not a good thing. Detroit better win that game, especially at home.
Vikings moving first down, and it's Jim Kleinsasser, the fullback, on first down. Gets about 3.5 yards on the play. So the Vikings, starting from their own 14-yard line, are in Cardinal territory at the 34-yard line, and it's been mostly Chris Carter doing the damage.
You know, it's interesting. I couldn't wait to talk to Sherm Lewis. There's the offensive coordinator for Minnesota, because, you know, for the last 10 years, he has been on the sidelines up in Green Bay. And so now he sees this team completely from a different perspective. And his views of some of the players were interesting. For example, Robert Smith, he didn't know he was that strong. He also didn't know just how good Dante Culpepper was.
People are finding out each week. 2nd and 7. And the screen pass to Robert Smith with blockers, and Smith losing to the end zone. Touchdown, Vikings.
Great call.
33 yards. Robert Smith with touchdown catches and runs in successive weeks.
What a great call. What you're going to see with this defense, he's going to look, see how he's looking to this side, and he's trying to let that develop, and then his offensive linemen get out, and it's just a matter of just running to the end zone. McKinnon was the only guy who had a shot. David Dixon does a good job of getting body position on Aeneas Williams. Actually, it's a poor job by Aeneas Williams of jumping around the block.
So a worst-case scenario here on the first drive by the Vikings for the Cardinals. Gary Anderson with the extra point is good, and that's exactly what Dennis Green wanted. An early lead, 7-0, as Culpepper finds Smith, who did the rest.
しかもね、困った時にポーンとカーターでしょ。そして
まだランディ・マース使ってません。
いや本当に一度も使ってません。
Robert Smith with a touchdown catch last week, his first in 2 years, now has 2 in 2 games. As Mitch Berger kicking off again, and Marte Jenkins about a yard in the end zone. Marte Jenkins runs into a crowd and is stopped at about the 25-yard line. So it's under 6.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. The Vikings lead 7-0.
7点のリードです。
一番悪いペースですね。
逆にアリゾナが7点あのぐらいの感じでポーンと入れないといけないんですよね。
This is David Boston talking to Aeneas Williams, and you can talk to the medical staff all you want, but players know their bodies probably better than anybody, better than the doctors, and you always go to another guy to validate what the heck it is. There he was talking to Aeneas Williams, just saying, I can't go, this hamstring, I just can't push off of it.
Coming in as the leading receiver for the Cardinals, Marte Jenkins, number 19, replaces him. As Arizona starts from the 25, and Michael Pittman, not much there, and it looks like the Vikings are trying to set down Pittman first and worry about the pass later, as the Cardinals pick up only 1.
Well, the one thing about this Minnesota defense, they're not big. They're not a real big group in their front 7. In fact, the linebackers are on a small side. Defensive linemen are on a small side, but they're very active, especially on the rug. They're a fast defense. And this Arizona offensive line, they're a big group. If they can get them isolated and let them use power, they're fine. But the Minnesota defense won't allow that. They'll give them a lot of movement.
Chris Gedney, number 84, lines up as a wide receiver, and the crossing pattern to Sanders is incomplete, bringing up 3rd down.
And there's one thing, Dick, to say we've got to get him involved. And another thing, you got to catch the ball. And that's a ball that had to be caught. And you don't have many opportunities. And if you're here in the stadium right now and you got the feel for this game, there's a feel that if Arizona falls back on another possession, this could be blowout city. It has that kind of feel to it. You can't waste opportunities early.
Well, the first quarter has not been kind to the Cardinals, who have been outscored by that much. Facing 3rd and 9. Plummer gets protection, but goes underneath to Pittman, the running back. And Pittman, trying to get first down yardage, is close, and he has it, as Dwayne Rudd makes the tackle and a first down for Arizona.
That was an outstanding effort by Michael Pittman, because Dick, he made the catch, and he turned upfield, and he understood that the best way to get it was a straight line. And so watch him finish this catch. There's the catch. He knows where the first down is. He squares his shoulders, runs right through the middle of those tacklers. That's a pretty good effort.
So at least the Cardinals moved the sticks on that occasion. On first down, Pittman charging up the middle for a couple of yards. Last week, the Cardinals took the lead over the Redskins on Aeneas Williams' fumble recovery and return for a touchdown. And the NFL has changed the yardage to 104 yards. So Williams ties the record
Set by
Jack Tatum.
Jack Tatum, right? Should be in a Hall of Fame. This editorial comment brought to you by
Matt Miller.
Frustrated Raider organization. Jack Tatum he's the king. He's still the measuring stick by which all safeties are measured. He was as good as there was.
Second down and 8. And it can get loud for opposing offenses. And the slant and leading too much Sanders, but a penalty flag is down. Our first penalty of the game.
Well, right at the feet of the quarterback, John Randall. And John Randall may not be putting the numbers up that he has in the past.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, 93 defense, 15 yards first down.
He may not have the same numbers, but it's not because of a lack of effort. The core around him has changed. And we talked about the size advantage and movement. There's movement. And what they're going to call right there is he had more than a step and a half. And so Bob McElwee's main concern in that situation, of course he's the official, the referee, is he's got to protect the quarterback.
So the Vikings, who have been plagued by injury penalty problems, they had 11 penalties for 129 Monday night against the Packers, and it costs them here. Cardinals in Viking territory for the first time, and a play action for Plummer, but he's not going to get it off. Storming in, Tony Williams and John Randall, not to be denied.
Tony Williams from the right side, Dwayne Rudd from the left side. They're the ones who made the play, and then Randall's able to come up inside. Watch, he's going to come off the corner. And then Williams beats his guy clean, so it's going to meet me at the quarterback. They step up front. Randall finishes off. This defensive front is too quick and too fast in terms of movement for the offensive line of the Arizona Cardinals.
Loss of 7 yards. Plummer sacked the second fewest times in the National Football League. They've done a good job of protecting him. And now it's 2nd and 17, back in Arizona territory. Pressure on, and the screen pass to Michael Pittman. And Pittman inside the 45-yard line will be short of a first down by about 4 yards to Lance Sawyer downfield, making the stop.
That's a good call. A well-timed, screens are all about timing. Screens are about timing, not only when you call them in the game, but also when you can get a feel. That's Mark Trestman's feel. They're working with him. They get a feel for that defensive front coming so aggressively, use their timing and their speed against them.
13-yard pickup, 3rd and 4. Three wide receivers. Plummer pumps once, completes to Sanders. First down, Cardinals. And he gets to the 32-yard line, and a shoe top tackle by Kenny Wright, the second-year corner who replaces Chris Dishman out with a shoulder injury today, and a gain of 11. And now Sanders appears shaken up.
Remember the last time they played here, which was in preseason, they lost a ton of people, and especially Rob Moore, the outside. He beats Kenny Wright clean. Watch the finish, right? Boom, right there. That's Tyrone Carter. But I'm not so sure that the turf didn't have something to do with his injury right now.
인코시바はやっぱりこれがね、
セメントですよ。
下はね、そうなんですよね。ぐらいでしたら。
Frank Sanders out of the game with a right knee injury, and David Boston is back in there. Hampered with a hamstring, but he's in there. 1st and 10 at the 31 of the Vikings. And the flag is down. And they're going to stop this play right here. And it could go against
Will go against
the Cardinals.
Snap, false start, number 65, offense.
And it's Anthony Clement. You were talking about the last meeting in preseason in August. Jacoby Reinhardt out for the year with a knee injury against the Vikings right here. Then J.J. McCleskey also gone for the season with an ankle injury. And then maybe the key one, Rob Moore, with a torn ACL in his knee. And frankly, the Cardinals were wary of playing on this turf, and this was today.
This is Frank Sanders right there. See how he landed on the knee? it looks like it's going to be a bruise and something hopefully he can play through if you're an Arizona Cardinal fan.
Cardinals really decimated at wide receiver. First down and 15. Matt Cody, number 82, is in there, but a burst by Michael Pittman, spinning his way and close to the first down. He got about 14 of those 15 yards back before Robert Tate tripped him up.
Dick, look, I'm seeing this Michael Pittman guy a few times, and I got to be honest with you, I really like him. I like his game. I love his attitude. I like the fact he's a complete player, but the best part is the fact that he plays hard all the time. He just plays hard, and he'll give you everything he has. I think if you got Pittman in the backfield, you'll have a chance.
Pittman, meanwhile, is on the sideline, and Thomas Jones, the rookie from Virginia, who started the season at running back, lines up now, second down and 1, and he's going to lose about a yard or so. So Jones loses yardage, bringing up third and short as we get close to a minute remaining in the first quarter.
You know, this, Dick, right here, this is a perfect example of football 101. This is where you've got to learn as a running back. Now, this isn't the NCAA. This is the NFL. And in the NFL, if it's not there, you have to see this mass. Your vision has to take you to bounce it someplace else. There's one thing about being patient to a point, but your vision has to bring it all together. And I like this kid. He's got talent. It just takes a while to feel the NFL.
10th play of the drive. Sanders is back in, along with Boston and Marte Jenkins. And here is Boston, and Boston making the grab at the 1-yard line. Tyrone Carter, the rookie free safety, who moved into the starting lineup last week, not in time for the 21-yard gain.
This is great. I mean, this is great. You know he's playing hurt. You can see he's limping just a little bit, but he's a strong man. I mean, David Boston is stacked. He hits Thibodeau right at the line of scrimmage. He beats him off the jam and gets the little bit of advantage, and an advantage that Jake Plummer takes advantage of perfectly.
So the Cardinals, in a very important drive, bring Pittman back in at first and goal from the 1. And they go to Pittman, diving to the goal line. Touchdown. The Cardinals score and tie it up. And you're right, Matt. If the Vikings had countered another score before the Cardinals did, you could have seen a blowout, and you still might, but the Cardinals back in the game.
But you could feel it. I mean, now you feel the stadium. It got quiet all of a sudden. This is what Arizona had to do. They had to take the crowd out, especially on the road. That touchdown, however, Dick, that was what Thomas Jones didn't have. Watch the vision. Everything in front of him is taken. So where do you go? You take the high road. Well done by Pittman.
They're adjusting the clock to 13 seconds from the 20 as Dave McGinnis's Cardinals come right back, and a big play was the roughing the passer call against the Vikings that gave the Cardinals life in Minnesota territory. Pittman with his 4th touchdown rushing of the year. Harry Blanchard with the extra point ties the game at 7. Well, he's already shown how emotional he is as he applauds the Cardinal offensive effort in a 7-7 game.
McGinnisはベルズの第一希望でしたジョランの前
は
けれども断ったんです。
あ、そうなんですか。
ベルズのオーナーがちょっと。
Seconds to go in the first quarter. We're tied 7-7. The Vikings roughing Jake Plummer, and then Plummer hitting David Boston for 21 yards before Pittman went over from a yard out on an 11-play, 75-yard drive. A short kickoff by Harry Blanchard. David Palmer returning for the Vikings. And the Cardinals snuff him out at the 27-yard line. And Dave McGinnis talking to his associates and his assistants about what the Cardinals had to do on offense before the game.
Boston said he's feeling pretty good, Vic. We got to get he and Frank involved early in this thing. You know, we got to get them the ball.
And they got to do it often. So that's exactly what they did. They came out early and they started throwing the ball to Frank Sanders first, and then they went back after they missed an opportunity with Boston and came right back to it. Big play.
3 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Dante Culpepper on first down, going up the middle, and the pass is ruled a catch to Chris Carter, who has phenomenal hands. He makes the shoe top grab as time runs out, and that is the end of the first quarter with the score, the Cardinals 7 and the Vikings 7. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after these messages.
SEM 住友伝説の目指すもの、それは時代を先駆ける創造性、それは人間への快適性、それはニーズに応える信頼性、エネルギーで、環境で、そして情報通信で明日のシステムを提案します。 SEM 住友伝説。
あの名作アニメーションがビデオになりました。
漫画日本昔話。これは日本一の桃太郎。君花を
世代を超えて心をつなぐ日本があります。漫画日本昔話。
夢のタッグ、ここに誕生。ガオラで全日本プロレス放送開始。第1回目は2000サマーアクションシリーズ14大会の熱戦を11月4日午後8時30分より1時間半にわたりオン・ジ・エア。そして第2回放送は2000サマーアクションシリーズ 2 9.2 日本武道館大会の模様を11月25日午後8時よりたっぷりとお届けします。報道はここにある。
Start of the second quarter tied 7-7. It'll be 2nd and 1, and the Cardinals not challenging that last catch by Chris Carter, and it looked like he might have trapped that one. We'll take another look. Meanwhile, the Vikings from their 37 hand off to Robert Smith, and a gain of about 2.
No, it wasn't so much a trap, Dick, but he didn't have control all the way. You're going to watch this as the ball comes down. He's going to make the catch and then lose control right there. See, and then he gains control by the ground. And then he demonstrates all the way through that he had control. But the key was when it hit the ground, he didn't have control. So I would have, if you'd have had the chance, you would have waved that one off.
Cardinals did not challenge, and they had the extra time of the change of quarters to do it. From the 40-yard line, first down.
Safety walk down. Did you see him? Here he comes again. Right here. Here's the extra man.
Interception, overthrowing the receiver, and Aeneas Williams returning for the Cardinals. And Aeneas Williams with Culpepper knocking him out of bounds, and a flag is down at midfield. Randy Moss was the intended receiver, and the pass was way over his head. The interception is made, but a flag coming down. It seemed on the return by Aeneas Williams. And the penalty, the preliminary sign is against
Pat Tillman better put his helmet back on. Second week in a row he's done that.
Holding number 40 of the return team during the return. The interceptors will keep the ball after the penalty for their foul. First down.
Keep in mind, Dante Culpepper changed at the line of scrimmage because the safety walked up. And then by walking up, which was Tillman, he was undercutting the receiver. Now, that doesn't excuse the fact that the ball took off on Dante Culpepper. Aeneas Williams was playing high over the top. He was expecting help from the guy underneath. The ball took off, and then the pick, and of course, he makes the tackle on the end.
So Aeneas Williams with his second interception, and here is Tillman.
Yeah.
With the hold on Randy Moss.
Well, they got him.
You said he took his helmet off. He did the same thing last week against the Redskins. And escaped a penalty. But the Cardinals get it back. First down on the 44. Deep drop for Plummer up the middle, and the pass caught by Frank Sanders. And he picks up 8 yards on the play. And it was only last week when Aeneas Williams made this big play. The fumble by Stephen Davis, and Aeneas Williams returning it at the time 103 yards, and they changed it to an NFL tying record 104.
Now, the thing that impressed me about this was Aeneas Williams knew who was on the field at the time and knew that he had a shot to be able to score because it was a 3 tight end offense. And he said, if I get to the edge, I'm gone.
Only Larry Wilson has picked off more in Cardinal history than Williams, as Michael Pittman, still on his feet, is brought down. And let's see if they mark the forward progress, and they will at the 49 of Minnesota. Dwayne Rudd aggressively making the play on defense.
To be honest with you, I'm surprised at this offensive line of the Cardinals because they are getting 0 push. And by push, I mean where the line of scrimmage is. When the ball snapped, the line of scrimmage has to be going forward. Well, they haven't been. They've been getting stoned right at the line of scrimmage, and this line right here has not moved. In fact, in some cases, it's going this way.
3rd down and 2. Glover slings it out to Pittman, gets by right, but Kylie Wong makes the stop, and they're short of the first down by maybe a yard and a half. 4th down coming up.
I want to show you, Dick, a good miss. This is when you miss a tackle, you make sure you miss knowing that your help is coming from the side. Now, Wright missed the tackle, but he missed it knowing that his help was coming from here. So he forced the running back inside, and then Wong makes the play. That's good football. That's being aware.
So the Vikings hold and do not get burned by the interception by Aeneas Williams. Now Scott Player will kick.
That's not a face mask. That's just a face.
It's not a mask either. And trying to keep it in play was Marte Jenkins, and it goes as a touchback, and the Vikings will start from the top.
That's a heck of a play right there by David Palmer. That is an outstanding play. Keep in mind, he didn't flash the signal for a fair catch, so he can block, and he did.
今度は1ヤードラインぐらいでダウンしますからね。
そうですね。さあ、アリゾナ、先ほどのターンオーバーを。
Back at the Metrodome, and the Minnesota Vikings and the Cardinals locked in a 7-7 tie. Minnesota starting from the 20. Dante Culpepper on the rollout, and the pass is dropped by John Davis, the tight end.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dick. He dropped the ball.
Okay.
Did he get leveled by Zach Walls and Tillman? They're going to make sure that he remembered this incompletion.
Well, the Cardinals said they had to hit hard. They had to set the tone because in the previous times, the Vikings have been doing the hitting.
Yeah, and you do. You have to come out and you have to let a guy know. Now watch Tillman, who's got a couple screws loose, and Zach Walsh, who they knew each other right out of high school. Now they're playing together. This Tillman, I think he's played well the last few weeks.
A couple of screws?
Yes, a couple of them loose.
Second and 10.
His head, you can hear him.
Robert Smith, and he gets a couple. Right now for a game break, let's return again to James Brown in Los Angeles.
That's a great hustle play by the Carolina offensive lineman to get back there and knock that thing down.
Saints trying to prove again that they're for real. Simeon Rice has come in for the Cardinals at defensive end. 3rd down and 7 with multi-receivers, and the pass is caught by Matt Hatchett. He holds onto it after the hit and gets the first down. Big play by Hatchett as Lassiter put the link on him.
That's a great play by Hatchett. Great play by Hatchett, and a great lesson to learn for all you high school, college players out there in tackling. And this is simple. This is not about hits. This is about wrapping and tackling. He went and made a good hit, never wrapped his arms. Didn't wrap his arms and blew an opportunity to get the ball back for his offense. Great effort, though, by Matt Hatchett.
So the Vikings, who come in 2 games ahead of the Lions and the Bucks at 7-2, moving the sticks on at the 31-yard line with 2 tight ends. Play action and a lot of time for Culpepper. Pass caught by Carter, close to midfield, and another Viking first down.
You're saying a lot about Chris Carter. Remember, I mentioned earlier about that Chavis on the other side. He's just working to the inside, just playing underneath the defender. On the other side of the ball now, Moss has not even had a sniff, and he's playing against the All-Pro. And so sometimes that's the biggest part of your offense, the fact that they respect Randy Moss so much that they're going to take measures to not let him catch a ball. You just use that against the defense.
Meanwhile, Carter already with 5 catches in the game, and Robert Smith finds an opening off left tackle and gets into Arizona territory, and another first down. Tillman and Chavis making the stop on Smith, who chalks up 11 more.
Yeah, and takes advantage of the left side of that offensive line. That's well done, very well done. Lewinsky does a good job right there. By Stussy does a nice job. He just gives him a crease, and he just blows right through it. And then once he's down into the secondary, you know, you got big yards, because he's going to eat that green stuff up pretty fast. Robert Smith can run.
Averaging 5 yards a carry is Robert Smith, and he's already caught a touchdown pass, 33 yards. First down, Vikings at the Cardinal 43. Another play-action situation for Culpepper. Flag is down, and Culpepper throws it away. The big chase put on that time by Russell Davis, but there's a penalty, and it will go against the Vikings holding.
Looks like it's going to be big Corey Stringer. That's pretty good coverage down the field, Dick, on that particular play. He had to pull it down.
Holding, number 77, offense, 10 yards, first down.
You know, watch Corey Stringer. He's, oh, nice. He stoned him at the line of scrimmage, but Waltz does a good job of getting off the block. Oh, I don't like that call. I mean, he had a little bit of shirt, but he let it go right away, and it didn't interfere with where Waltz was going.
But Stringer has had a terrific season thus far at right tackle for the Vikings, who now face 1st and 20.
Dick, remember the last time they had a penalty, it hurt them on the defensive side. Now they're putting themselves in a 1st and long situation, 20 yards.
Back to their own 47-yard line as a result of the penalty. Here's Robert Smith trying to bend his way forward. And finally, it takes 4 Cardinals to bring him down after a pickup of 3. Well, the second half of our doubleheader, the St. Louis Rams go against the New York Giants. They both have the same record. The folks here in the Minnesota area will see the Green Bay-Tampa Bay battle, and the Giants, trying to prove that they're legitimate, still have not convinced people despite their 7-2 record.
One thing that's going to happen today, though, that giant offensive line and running game is going to be a major factor. And they're going to have to control the line of scrimmage and shorten that game. If they can do that, they'll have a shot.
2nd and 17. Again, they spread the defense, and the pass, Randy Moss with his first reception of the game to the Cardinals 40, gets 11 of those yards back. Tillman on the stop.
Well, Dante Culpepper, watch his eyes. He knew exactly where he was going to go with this ball. He's coming right over, and he's eyeballing Randy Moss. He sees it, and he delivers it. And this is what he's seeing. He sees the zone inside. Moss does a good job. He gets the short arms, but he gets down quick. And he takes the hit, but he anticipates it.
8 of 10 for 109 yards, a touchdown, and an interception, which did not ultimately hurt Minnesota. 3rd down and 6. Culpepper firing to the sideline, intended for John Davis, and Corey Chavis on the coverage, and that brings up 4th down, and Mitch Berger will come into the game.
Felt a little bit of pressure around the outside, but this 4th down is brought to you by Corey Stringer's hold. That's what hurt them. So what happens, the Minnesota Vikings, they hurt themselves. And Dick, that goes back all the way to the beginning of football. You cannot beat yourself.
Matt Cody goes back to return the kick by Mitch Berger. The Cardinals did not have a punt return last week in their win over the Redskins. And they're not going to return this one either. It goes into the end zone for a touchback. 7:10 to go, and Arizona staying with Minnesota 7-7.
同点に追いついて、これでゲームとしては非常に面白くなっています。
ミネソタの問題は2つのペナルティですね。
そうですね。
Back here at the Metrodome, James Cameron's newest hit, Dark Angel, is back with an all-new exhilarating episode. So catch Dark Angel this Tuesday at 9/8 Central after all new episodes of that 70s show and Titus right here on Fox. Offensive leaders for the Vikings, and with Boston and Sanders shaken up today, Michael Pittman, or for the Cardinals that is, Michael Pittman has gotten a big play.
Chris Carter on the other side, and Dante Culpepper have done well.
Thomas Jones, however, is in the backfield, first down from the 20. Pittman scoring the Cardinal touchdown, and here is Jake Plummer rolling out and running and going out of bounds after picking up 5.
That's on Thomas Jones. You can see Jake Plummer talking to him right there. If Jake didn't get him the ball, now this again, this has to do. You're gonna watch. It's going to come this way, and Jake Plummer's going to step over to get him the ball. Getting the ball to the running back is the responsibility of the quarterback. If it's not there, you just keep on going. That's something you learn ever since you're 8 when you start playing the game.
Jones, the #1 draft pick out of the University of Virginia, remains back there at 2nd and 5. And Jones getting the call, diving forward, and Cardinals will still need 4 yards to get the first down.
Thomas Jones has to use his vision. It'll happen for him. He's got really good skills. But the one thing that he's going to need some help from is that offensive line with Thomas Jones out of Virginia. The offensive line has to be able to use their size advantage and get a push against the smaller defensive line of Minnesota. That has not happened.
They haven't blocked well running-wise. They've done well protecting-wise for Plummer, who has 5 wide receivers on 3rd and 4 and calls the quarterback draw and gets the first down just beyond the 30-yard line, it appears, with Kylie Wong making sure. Let's see where they spot the ball, and that could mean everything as to whether Plummer did get the necessary yardage, and he did.
Dick, I want you to watch what they do at the start of this thing, and Jake Plummer gets up a little grimace on his face after that hit. But they spread everybody out, and then Plummer is going to lift his foot. See that? Once he lifts the foot, it's a timing thing between he and the center. 1,001, 1,002, and the ball comes right back. Now, defensively, you know that. And when you have that early in the game, you try to get that same timing down so you can blow up the field.
Cardinals with a first down on their 30. Under 5.5 to play in the first half, and a play-action pass, and Frank Sanders is there to make the catch. Sanders down to the 29-yard line of the Vikings, so they found Sanders to the tune of 41 yards, and Arizona threatened.
You know, Dick, this whole thing doesn't happen except for 2 things. First of all, you have to protect. Clement does a good job on John Randall, a little help from his hands. Then the second part was you throw the ball to where the receiver can get it. And because there was nobody to the middle of the field and a nice play action fake to the inside, he threw the ball out so that Sanders can run to it. Well done.
4 catches, 74 yards despite an injured knee. Pass underneath caught by Thomas Jones, the running back, and very close to another first down. And the Cardinals appear to have it. Rudd and Wong on the stop. And right now the Cardinals are taking advantage of what has been a shaky defense for the Vikings. And Plummer now has connected on 8 in a row.
Well, they need consistency from Jake Plummer all game long. When they win, he's usually been a big factor. Now, last week he threw 2 picks. Didn't have great consistency, but they came out with a win.
The Cardinals have the edge in time of possession. They're on the 18-yard line. Another play-action pass, and this one bobbled to Terry Hardy and incomplete, out of bounds.
That's a catch that has to be made. You know, just talking to Dave McGinnis, their head coach, prior to the game, the couple of things that he mentioned, which we said earlier, he had to get the ball to Frank Sanders' hands. That was the one thing. But then he felt confident with his offense against this Minnesota defense. And he felt like the longer that this game stayed close, the advantage clearly fell to them.
Remember, the Vikings are 26th in the league against the pass. From the 18, 2nd down and 10. And here is Michael Pittman. And the Vikings with Lance Sawyer quickly coming in. Help from Ed McDaniel and a loss of a yard.
Again, anytime they're running between the tackles, they're not getting anything. They're trying to bounce outside. Shelton just got shoved right to the back right there. Sawyer did a nice job of coming off the ball. They do an excellent job of coming off the ball, and that's usually the time where screens and draws will work against you.
But they have to continue to run the ball even though they're not getting it.
You always have to. Even if you get nothing, the threat has to be there. You can't completely ignore it.
3rd and 11.
Good point by you.
I learned things up here with you. 5 wide receivers. Plummer looking for one, and the pass caught by Pittman. And Pittman is stopped at the 11-yard line, short of the first down by about 3 yards. And the Cardinals will send their field goal kicking team on.
Boy, you know you have to block John Randall. Why would you watch Clement? I can't tell exactly what this is. Because one thing it is, I love you very much. Let me hug you a little bit. Oh, did you brush your teeth this morning? I can't quite tell, but he mauled him. And John Randall's complaining to the officials out there with good reason.
Gary Blanchard 1 for 2 last week. This will be a 28-yard attempt. And they don't look, and buried is the holder. That was Dwayne Rudd who came in, and all of a sudden it's like we're looking at a tape and they stop motion.
That's what it looked like.
Throws it.
They were trying to do their best Mitch Berger imitation of a Monday night. That's what it was.
He just stopped it. Very strange. The player is buried by Rudd. It's still 7-7.
全然あれじゃフェイクになってないですね。
そうドームの中ですよ。
はい。
まあこの前ミネソータの問題グリーンベイと負けた。
Gary Blanchard on the right aborted his kick. It looked like a good snap, and the Vikings get a sack out of it with Dwayne Rudd pouncing on players. So a first down for the Vikings on the 21-yard line. Robert Smith trying to go outside and dekes his way for a couple of extra yards. McKinnon chases him out.
And there's something I got to show you about. This is kind of funny. Trey Junkin's going to make the snap. The ball's put down. I want you to watch player's head. See? Watch his face. See, he thinks he's still looking up. He thinks it's a kick. He had no idea. He's not the only one who didn't have any idea. Watch Dave McGinnis. Oh, smile. Oh, you morons.
Well, it was a strange situation because it looked like they could still kick the ball. This was after the
that looks like there's a Far Side cartoon. There's a Far Side cartoon right there.
2-minute warning here in Minneapolis. We'll take a timeout.
最近腰まで太ったわ。なんか運動しなくちゃ。
お腹が出てきたな。ズボンが止まらないよ。
はあ、疲れた。もう腹筋は苦しいから嫌だ。
最近どうも運動不足、腰回りが太ったという方にぜひおすすめ。ニューゆらゆら美容健康器が出ました。なんとお値段は9800円。しかも今回は腰の下に当てる回転板付きです。
わあ、このゆらゆら感が気持ちいいですね。それにお腹の贅肉が動いているのがわかります。この回転板が効果的ですよね。
以前はこの回転板がなく足だけの運動でしたが、回転板をつけたことで腰やお腹周りの運動も可能になりました。
普段運動しにくいこの辺の肉が動くんですよ。贅肉が引き締まる感じですよ。
気持ちよく運動できてお腹に効くんですよ。15分の食べまつきでうとうとしても安心です。
運動嫌いな私でもこれならテレビを見ながら楽に運動ができます。
腰からお腹、足まで心地よく運動できるニューゆらゆら美容健康器。回転板付きで9800円、9800円ととってもお買い得。0120-666-666日本直販へお申し込みください。
オランダリーグサッカーエールディビジリーグも前半戦の折り返しを迎える12月、好調のペイエノールとペイエスペイに対し若手メンバー主催で名門復活を狙うアヤックス。他注目のカードが続々登場。放送はご覧の通り。特に12月10日の伝統の一戦ペイエノールと対アヤックス戦は必見。オランダリーグサッカーエールディビジお楽しみに。
2 minutes remaining in the first half. Coming up on the Visa halftime report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris scores highlights from around the league All coming up on the Visa halftime report. 2nd and 6 for the Vikings on their 25. 4 wide receivers and the quarterback draw. Culpepper variety. First down to the 34.
I like that variety, as he's big and strong. I mean, look at the defenders. They're just smaller than him. And he can run. He's fast.
Now the Vikings line up without the huddle. And the Cardinals keep the same people on the field. 1st and 10.
That's not good. That's a 30-second no huddle play. Not good.
Culpepper, and the pass too low for Chris Carter.
One thing this Cardinal team is doing defensively, when they have a chance to make a hit, they take it. Tillman there again, his incomplete pass, boom, make sure he makes the hit. I think that counts. I really do. I think that's the hidden things you don't see. Because the longer the game goes on, those hits add up. And at the end of the 4 quarters, that's where they start to get you.
Yeah, this is a team, the Cardinals, who have been more on the receiving end than the giving end as far as the hits.
That's not good. 16 tackles a game for a safety. That means your front seven's not doing good.
2nd down and 10. And there's the screen to Robert Smith. And Tillman forces him out of bounds, stopping the clock after a gain of 5 with 1:19 showing.
Another good. That's a good play by Tillman. He gets out of bounds. Tillman forces him out of bounds before getting a first, and of course you set up this 3rd down where you have a chance. You stop them here. You have a chance to get the ball back for your own offense.
Well, the Vikings have made a living off their 2-minute offense in the first half this year. They have scored 5 times, getting 5 field goals. 3rd down and 5 for Dennis Green's Vikings in a 7-7 game. A surprise thus far. Culpepper drills it. Chris Carter with a catch. Justin Lucas on the tackle. Carter, by the way, fined $5,000 this week for kicking Packer defensive back Antoine Edwards in a play in which Mike McKenzie was called for taunting. So he's $5,000 poorer. Is Carter.
That's going to be on the center. Matt Burke, he rocked into that before the snap. And they're going to take it back to 1st and 15.
Once again, the penalties affecting the Vikings.
False start. Number 78, the center. 5 yards. First down.
Harvard guys should know better than that. You got to know the rules first.
That's what Zach Walls is saying. You know, if I went to Dartmouth, you went to Harvard. I haven't made that mistake yet.
Look at that. The most in the NFL for false starts, all from an offensive line that's pretty new in some areas, but at the tackles, they've been around. The right side's been around, and that left tackle's been around. And they made the changes with the left guard and center.
Vikings with a costly roughing
10-second
runoff.
Yeah, inside of 2 minutes, you have that penalty like that. That will require a 10-second runoff. And so they'll do that. They're going to run it down from 57. They went down to 47.
Clock operator has dropped the clock from 57 to 47 seconds.
Bob McElwee,
as required by the rule,
has talked to the clock operator more than to the fans thus far in this game. Well, you mentioned the penalties. The Vikings called for roughing the passer. Hurt them when the Cardinals scored, and then a holding penalty, which affected them when they had the ball.
See Simeon Rice getting ready for his speed rush. In fact, he wants to go so fast. Took his mouthpiece off and dropped it down into his sock.
1st and 15. Culpepper looking for the target, finds it. Robert Smith. Flag is down in midfield, and Smith is stopped at the 45, a yard short of the first down. Minnesota calls a timeout. Corey Chavis making the tackle, but there was a flag thrown at the 50.
And the defensive holding on the outside. I believe that was Aeneas Williams working outside with Randy Moss.
That's the matchup you talked about, and so far Moss has caught but 1 pass.
Work him right there. You get your hand on him, get a good jam. You have 5 yards. I don't know about that.
holding. Number 35 defense. No.
And they didn't have to call the timeout, and maybe they won't charge him with one now.
He called it. He called it and granted it. It's funny because right before we said this, I was going to say I saw the flag, but the referee didn't see the flag. he saw Culpepper coming up to him and telling him we want a time.
That penalty is declined. Second down.
Now he's got to explain the timeout story. Do the Vikings get charged with one?
Holding is a 5-yard penalty. And so they'll decline that penalty because they'll take the yardage of the catch instead.
There is no charge timeout to Minnesota because of the foul. No charge timeout to Minnesota.
That's a good job by the umpire of coming in and reminding Bob McElwee of what just transpired. And that goes back to the training that I had in the preseason, because the one thing that I realized about all the officials is communication, Dick, was the biggest thing.
Get it right.
Yeah, and they do. I think that's a good job right there.
So the Vikings still have all 3 of their timeouts remaining with 35 seconds remaining in the first half. Second down and 1 from the 45 of the Cardinals.
Remember, they would decline that thing because a hold would just be 5 yards. It's not pass interference.
There's Chris Carter, who on the sidelines will always be talking with Culpepper, kind of his tutor, so to speak. Carter having a big first half. Second and 1. Pressure put on Culpepper, and his pass is incomplete, going to Smith underneath, stopping the clock and bringing up third down.
Todd Stussy, the left offensive tackle, is going to have to block Simeon Rice. See, they have this, they're trying to create some space for Simeon Rice because his asset is speed. But right there, that's a good job by Rice of sinking his hips. All of sport is in the hips. And if you have that, you have a chance. What he needs a little more of, he needs a little bit more of lead packed around those hips.
Third down and 1. There is Simeon Rice. There is the yellow line, and that's where the Vikings have to get to keep possession. And the pass is caught for the first down. Chris Carter again, and he gets to the 43-yard line. Rob Fredrickson made the tackle for Arizona. Vikings timeout is their first. We'll be right back.
Hi. ということで、
大きいですよ。
でもこれフィードゴールは十分狙える時間まだありますね。
タッチダウン許したらもう。
For the Vikings, Randy Moss largely ignored, and Chris Carter already with 7 catches for 66 yards.
But more important than all this, see, we don't have this. TDs, 0. That's what really matters right now. And for Randy Moss with the 1 catch, that can be attributed to 2 things. The scheme, number 1, and this man, Aeneas Williams, because he's matched up with him. And what that has been able to do for the rest of the defense is you take your other 10 and you play a 10-on-10 game, and it's benefited.
From the 43-yard line of the Cardinals, first down. And they spread it out, and Culpepper with a quick toss to Chris Walsh, and it's incomplete. So the clock now runs down to 20 seconds, and third down upcoming.
I think there's a point to be made here, Dick, for you people sitting at home to remember that when you match a guy up, like Randy Moss and Aeneas Williams outside, that doesn't mean that you're continually going to take him man-to-man. They're mixing a lot of zones. They're doing a lot of zone drops in here, zone blitz. And there's a lot of different looks, but it's all part of the scheme. And so offensively, you take Randy Moss and you now use him against that own defensive scheme.
Second down and 10, not third down, and this is the 10th play of the drive for the Vikings. Second and 10 at the 43. And Moss can hold on to it.
Dick, that is the perfect example of what I was talking about with Tillman. Now there's a flag going to be thrown.
And the Cardinals complaining about it, and it may be going against them, but
Personal foul, late hit defense.
Late hit. Where I must have missed a hit here.
Number 52.
Zach Walls.
But
15
it
yards,
looked like
automatic first
Moss
down.
was shying away on
Yes,
that
he
pass.
was. This is what I was talking about. As he breaks to the inside, watch Tillman. Tillman's going to show up.
And there it is.
That's what they called at the end.
Well, there's the Dartmouth guy.
You'd think a Harvard and Dartmouth guy would know better than that. I mean, now my own linebacker instincts are going to come out right here. See, and what I'm going to say may not be the most sound football. But if you're going to hit somebody and take a shot, really hit them. Don't just put them down.
But I'll tell you, very interesting as far as the Cardinals treating Moss the rest of the way after looking at that one. But it's a first down for Minnesota on the 28. Culpepper to run out of the pocket. And Mark Smith makes the tackle as the clock goes down to 10 seconds and a timeout called by the Vikings.
はい、2度目のタイムアウトを取りました。やっぱりフィールドゴール欲しいんですね。
今フィールドゴールします。
Gary Anderson waiting in the wings has connected on 8 consecutive field goals. It'll be 2nd and 10 for the Vikings at the 28-yard line. David Palmer, who was inactive for 5 weeks, brought back Monday night against Green Bay to return kicks. Has done it so far tonight, but is in the backfield now with 10 seconds remaining.
Dick, I got to go back to that Tillman. That Tillman hit. I mean, because Pat Tillman has been throwing himself around, that forced that incompletion from Randy Moss. He knew what was coming, so he backed out of it.
So the Vikings flinching a bit here against the Cardinals. Culpepper's pass to Randy Moss, and it is caught. First down at the 16-yard line. Well timed, and they work on that continuously, and all it does is get the Vikings closer for Anderson.
Well, what this is Aeneas Williams was respecting Moss's speed down the field. He had no help behind him. He knew there was no help. And so he gave him a cushion that you had to take advantage of. And Moss just ran down and stopped, and you can't recover that fast.
So Moss with his second catch, and now Anderson is on to attempt a 33-yard field goal. Mitch Berger will hold. No wet ball tonight, and the kick is up, and the kick is good with time running out in the first half. Gary Anderson makes it 9 straight field goals, and the Vikings take a precarious 3-point lead into intermission, and the Cardinals playing them tough for Dave McGinnis. And that is the end of the first half with the score, the Vikings 7 and the Cardinals 7. 10-7. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. And welcome back to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Snow forecast for the area. Still might have it. Minnesota leading 10-7. Right now, let's go down to Pam Oliver, who's with Aeneas Williams.
All right, thanks a lot, Dick. Aeneas, tell me about what you want to do in the second half. You did a great job in the first half, and I'm sure you're right where you want to be.
Well, we still want to prevent the big play and make a play when we get an opportunity. And on offense, we got to control the clock. They had the ball for the first quarter for the majority of it, and we have to get some of that time back.
Randy Moss is just 2 catches in the first half. How do you contain him for 2 more quarters?
You have to continue to mix it up, and when they throw the ball up, we're doing a great job hitting him when he can come across the middle, and that's what we wanted to do. Make him pay when he does catch it.
All right, Aeneas, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. As for the Vikings, I did talk to Dennis Green. He said the main thing he wanted to address problems on the offense. He feels they need to get a better balance between the pass and the run. Felt he got away from the run much too early. They want to get back to that in the second half. Dick, back to you.
Thank you, Pam. That's the story of this game, really, because this is a prolific offense, and the Cardinals do not have a great defense, and only 1 touchdown scored by Minnesota.
No, but sometimes what you can do, Dick, is you can offset what you don't have in personnel with scheme. And so what Pam just said is fantastic with Aeneas Williams, because 2 things which became very clear. You eliminated the big play down the field, which they were able to do. They mixed up their defenses, which we talked about, and then also the hits. And where really, probably the biggest that you saw was when Moss tried to go back inside and Tillman came to lower the boom, and he just pulled off and got the alligator arms. That speaks volumes what they're getting done here. And so I'll take that, Dick, and go back to what was said with our halftime show about this man, Dave McGinnis. Because clearly you can see a difference in the way this team plays now under him than they had been.
No question they are inspired. They lost to New Orleans in his first game, but it was the turnovers. They dominated the Saints. Last week they beat the Washington Redskins, and now very much in this game with the Vikings. Let's take a look at the halftime statistics, and certainly not a landslide for the Vikings.
Well, I think the biggest thing is right here, and that's, again, going back to what Pam said in speaking with Denny Green. They got away from the run. You'd like to see that a little bit higher, because that's going to affect what this is. Here's the good news for Arizona. Remember, just a week ago, they only had the ball 44 times. You need to have it around 60 to do something. The rest of the stuff, that's not going to show up. But what will show up, if you look at the passing by distance for this Minnesota team, they have not taken their shot down the field yet. Part of that is scheme, but sometimes you just thumb your nose at the scheme and you use Randy Moss and you go back to that thing and just throwing it up.
Culpepper's numbers, and the Vikings will get the ball first to start the second half. And continuing on the thought, Aeneas Williams saying in relationship to Dave McGinnis, he is the first coach I've ever had that I can talk to. And he certainly has given them new energy and new hope. So Harry Blanchard kicking off to start the second half. David Palmer bringing it back for the Vikings. Trying to find some running room and cannot. Stopped at the 31 by Kwame Lassiter.
We're going to take a look at the passing by distance that we were talking about there. And what I want you to see is the second half of it. What they've been able to do is throw underneath. You can see that. But look at this. See down the field? And when you think of Minnesota and you say, okay, Minnesota passing, the first thing that comes to your mind is Randy Moss. And the first thing you think of Randy Moss is getting the ball down the field. And through one half of football, there's nothing down the field.
And Culpepper has made a living out of it this year with the deep pass. 1st and 10, and here is Robert Smith with the carry. Smith, who gained 37 yards on 8 carries in the first half, is stopped by Rob Frederickson.
Frederickson didn't play much last week. In fact, he's starting to get back into it. He was banged up all season long, but really with the shoulder. But when he did come in, particularly at the end of the game, the last play of the game, made a fantastic play. Just was able to run with the receiver and get his hand out. He's pretty good. Has a good feel in the passing game.
Cardinals linebackers intact for the first time in over a year today. 2nd down and 6. Culpepper looking for a receiver. The Cardinals doing a terrific job in coverage, but Culpepper has an answer as he runs for the first down up to the 45.
Well, he was looking right away to the outside with Randy Moss. Now, this is where Aeneas Williams takes it completely away. Gets the jam, stays right on him, no place to go. So he pulled it back down, and he went over to Chris Carter. Chavis is right on top of him. Now, here's the difference in the play. Culpepper sees one, now back to the other side. It's man-to-man. So what do? The defender's backs are turned, turn the corner, and get the first down. Good quarterback play.
And he's broken Fran Tarkenton's Viking record for most quarterback rushes in a season. Play fake on first down from the 45. He gets hit, and the pass caught anyway by Randy Moss in the open field. And he gets to the 32. So Culpepper took the punishment from Pat Tillman coming in and completes it to Moss for 23.
I disagree with you, Dick. This might be the first time that you could legitimately throw a roughing the defender. When the guy lets him bounce off point, Tillman hits him, doesn't do anything. Culpepper's standing there and makes the throw perfectly. And then again, here we go. Get the ball down the field. They caught him in that zone. And Aeneas Williams was sitting off, and then he was able to run back underneath.
I can never remember a quarterback, he's 255, who would let the defender bounce off him.
That was funny.
Like a flea.
With a flag, roughing the defender on the quarterback.
Well, a first down on the Cardinal 32 out of the shotgun, and wide open. And completing the pass to Andrew Jordan for nearly 5 yards.
Well, they continue to mix it up, does this defense of the Arizona Cardinals. And I think just looking at the big picture, this Minnesota Viking offense is not in sync. They're not flowing like they had been, which we had seen.
Well, he scored 20 in overtime in losing last week, only 13 the week before posting high numbers in their first 7 wins. 2nd and 6. Culpepper rolling out and hitting the tight end John Davis for the first down just outside the Cardinal 20.
Good patience. Trim Lewis is calling a good game. Trim Lewis is just going ahead and trying to get into the flow. But listen to this hit here by Tillman.
Tillman, a hard hitter against the Redskins last week, continuing that. Vikings with a first down at the 21-yard line, leading 10-7. Here's Robert Smith. Robert Smith First down again, close to the 10-yard line. Lassiter, the last line of defense on the stop.
He had a nice stop at the last line, but it was a good job up front by the offensive line of creating that space for Robert Smith. You're going to watch this right side. You got Corey Stringer, David Dixon, Matt Burke, all three of them. Everybody on somebody, and Kleinsasser with a really good job of picking up the backer. Now watch the hand right there. That's a good hit by Lassiter.
So the early going of the third quarter, the Vikings coming down the field with a 1st and goal at the 10. Robert Smith up the middle. A lot bigger and stronger and gets inside the 5. Mal Tosi making the tackle. It used to be Horde and Smith and changed the pace on offense, but mostly it's Smith now to great success.
I think Robert Smith looks bigger to me. I mean, I said something to him earlier. He always kind of downplays things whenever you do. I said, Robert, you look thicker to me. And he wouldn't say anything, but I did talk to Steve Wetzel, their strength coach, and he confirmed the fact that he's about 10 pounds heavier than he was a year ago, and it's all muscle.
2nd and goal at the 4. Came into the game with over 900 yards gained. Here's Culpepper flipping to Moss for the score. Randy Moss held to 2 receptions in the first half, making his 9th touchdown catch of the year, and the Vikings on the verge of opening up a 10-point lead.
Watch Randy Moss. He's going to go inside. Now, once he has the defender to the inside, here's a cushion. This short of field, you're not going to be able to cover him. You can't stop him. And it was also good the way they staggered them, because what that does to you defensively is it forces you to give a cushion, because you have to wait for the offensive player to define themselves.
Gary Anderson, and flags are down, 3 of them to be exact. Bob McElwee
jumping the gun inside on Arizona.
So Randy Moss with the touchdown catch gained 130 yards through the air last week.
As we look at this, I still can't get out of my mind that bizarre field goal non-attempt by Blanchard. That was weird.
Well, all of a sudden he just stopped his kick as he was about to boot the ball, and strange field goal attempt, to say the least.
Looked like Charlie Brown, Lucy.
Encroachment, defensive nose guard. The penalty will be taken on the kickoff. Retry for the 2.
We're going to get a little bit of a jump inside. This is affectionately known as encroachment. And because that looked like Otis was the guy inside who jumped the gun a little bit too soon.
And it's Mitch Palmer, the long snapper, who felt a lot of heat on his neck. So Gary Anderson now moving in a bit. Actually tries it from the same spot and is perfect as he has been with conversions all year. So the Vikings, with all of those weapons, Culpepper, by the way, with 2 more touchdown passes today, now has 19 on the year, and the Vikings lead by 10. Look at the Metrodome from above as the Vikings on their first possession of the second half. Culpepper was perfect, and Moss, the recipient of a 4-yard clip from Dante Culpepper, and it's 17-7 in favor of the Vikings, who will now kick off. Marte Jenkins, who returned 171 yards against the Redskins last Sunday. Mitch Berger will do the kicking. Good kick by Berger in the end zone, and Jenkins muffs it. And a touchback.
Well, Randy Moss has a touchdown, and you know, Austin Powers may have had a mini-me, but in Minnesota, they got themselves a mini Moss. Take your pick. This man's happy with a touchdown, Minnesota.
ぱりそれは82番に渡す責任なんでしょうね。
よく打てますでしょ。すごい人気があるの選手ですね。
There's one happy Minnie Moss to the left and one concentrating Randy Moss to the right, but in the words of the immortal Dr. Evil, you complete me, Minnie Moss. I love you, Minnie Moss. That's a happy guy. I love to see that.
Cardinals from the 20, and this is the loudest the Metrodome throng has been all day. Plummer has it deflected, looking for the screen pass to Lance Sawyer. Got a piece of it.
I think there was a mix-up there because they were expecting a screen to the left side. Michael Pittman was in on the block, and he can't block. He's got to be the intended receiver on the left side. Comes in, boom, see that? He tried to get a shot onto Lance Sawyer, like you mentioned, Dick, and because he did, he took himself right out of the play.
Plummer is 11 of 15 for 141 yards. Second down and 10. 5 minutes gone by, third quarter, and Plummer looking for a receiver. Flag is down, nearly ran into the umpire, and finally John Burrow returning to action after the twisted ankle, picking up about 6.
This is going to go against the Arizona Cardinals, but Dick, that play was made right there by John Randall, because they were going to try to, he was going to try to throw down the field.
Number 65, offense.
Anthony Clement holding for the Cardinals, the right tackle.
Yeah, Clement's working on John Randall to the outside, but Randall got his hand and hit Plummer. And as Plummer was looking down to the right side of the field, you're going to watch his eyes. See this whole thing right here? See that hand? That hand was just in the middle of Plummer, about to throw out to the right side to David Boston on Thibodeau. He had beaten Thibodeau on a comeback. Now, because of the hold, it would have come back anyway, but Randall's been a factor in today's game.
Second and 20.
They have a tight end there to make sure he's not going to get off real fast.
Chris Gedney, number 84, and here is Michael Pittman. Good burst up the middle, and Michael Pittman getting 11 yards on the play with Lance Sawyer stopping him.
Boy, the one player who I caught my eye immediately Monday night as I was watching that game was Tyrone Carter, number 37. Winner of the Thorpe Award last year as a top defensive back. This is what he does well. Watch this. Right at the end. Well, he will whack you. And Minnesota has 2 whackers back there. Both those safeties, Robert Griffith and Tyrone Carter, they will really hit you.
Carter taken on the 4th round from the University of Minnesota. 3rd and 9, and the flip to Pittman. And Pittman is tackled. Big play defensively by Dwayne Rudd, limiting Pittman to 5 yards and forcing the Cardinals to punt.
That Dwayne Rudd he's a linebacker version of John Randall in terms of energy. But man, can he run? He's got great feet, he's got great hips, a feel for the game. He doesn't have quite enough, hammer in his hammer sometimes when they go straight at him, but he's such a great athlete that he can make you avoid it and still make the play.
So David Palmer goes back deep, and Scott Player will punt for Arizona. So the Cardinals can't muster anything after falling behind by 10. And the fair catch by Palmer at the 39. So now the onus on the Arizona defense to prevent Minnesota from really opening up this game. We'll be right back.
絶好のフィールドポジション、さらに点差を広げようというチャンスを今掴もうとしております。
今日はミネソタいつでも
A series to watch coming up right now with 8:03 to go in the 3rd, and the Vikings leading by 10. They have their best starting field position right now, the 38-yard line. And the fake on the reverse, Robert Smith on the carry. And Robert Smith, thanks to terrific blocking by Harold Morrow, gets a first down and rambles into Cardinal territory for a gain of 21.
Morrow had a nice lead block, but it wasn't going to happen unless that front side did his job first. You can see Davis is there, and just an all-around good effort by the right side of that offensive line. And then Morrow, like you said, is able to hold it off. But Tillman does a good job of playing the safety position. Look at this. Look at it. Just take people, and the line of scrimmage is going this way. Now watch Tillman to the top. See, Tillman does a nice job getting that defender on his hip and then using the sideline as his help.
Again, extra tight ends for the Vikings on the 41-yard line. Robert Smith trying to wend his way, and it's Pat Tillman again who comes in and makes the play. Well, second half of our Fox doubleheader. Many of you will see the Rams and the Giants, but the folks here in the Twin City areas, Green Bay and Tampa Bay in an NFC Central battle.
And as we saw Monday night, Brett Favre's back. His arm is healthy. He's moving around again, making good decisions. I think he's been accurate. That's going to have to be he's going to have to be all of Brett Favre to win the game, because Tampa Bay defensively is solid. I still have a tough time with that offense.
This team may be on a roll. Coming in 2 games behind the Vikings, who face second down and 10. Culpepper hangs in there and completes to Carter. Culpepper hanging in the pocket, and finally Carter got free, and a pickup of 15 yards. Zach Walls on the tackle to the 26.
This play is brought to you courtesy of 1, the offensive line, and 2, Randy Moss. They turned it over to Tillman, and Tillman stays right with him. That's where Culpepper wanted to go. When he doesn't have it, he pulls it back down, and then because of the protection, he's able to look back underneath. And that play took a long time to develop on that cross, but because of the protection, he can do it.
Carter is 8 for 80 in the pass catching department. The first down at the 26, and the draw to Robert Smith, and Smith pounding the middle of the line and getting 3.
This is the previous play. Andre Wadsworth he's playing banged up, and then you could just, there's not much there. I think he just re-aggravated what he did right there. See that? He's probably at about 70%.
Came back from off-season knee surgery in the New Orleans game. Played 1 down and then played a lot more last week. So you're right. He's really not really ready to go. But Cardinals need him, and he goes to the sideline. Bo Williams is there as Smith goes to the sideline for the Vikings. And out of the backfield, it's Bo Williams with the catch and a first down to about the 12.
Good job by Culpepper feeling the pocket, because Simeon Rice had taken an inside move. So instead of staying to the inside, he just skates a little bit outside to the left, buys that little bit of vision, and then he's able to make the throw. Watch Rice. He's going to start up and then come back inside, because a good outside rusher is only good if he can take the inside. See how him slide? He just slides just ever so slightly, gains a little bit better vision, and finds Mo Williams.
Williams remains in the game. First down at the 11 of the Cardinals. And they hand the ball off to Mo Williams off the left side. And he gets to about the 9. Rob Fredrickson on the play for the Cardinals as we get 4:30 and running here in the 3rd.
Well, this is going to be a big series right here for this Arizona team. It's 17-7. They're down by 10. If they hold them to a field goal, it's a 2-score game for them, 2 touchdowns. If they don't, it's going to be a 3-score game, and then it could get ugly. Then that's when you start trying to press too much.
Here's the total yardage story, heavily in favor of the Vikings. Robert Smith, who's gained 82 yards in the game, checks back in. Second down and 7. Here's a play fake, and the fumble as Simeon Rice gets Culpepper from behind, and the Cardinals recover.
Simeon Rice did a great job. Now remember earlier I showed you, Dick, how you take the inside move. When you take the inside move and there's a danger in front of that.
Running.
Well, he's just a happy guy. Dave McGinnis said keep on running. They never blew it down. Nobody touched it, but it was touched.
So a big turnover, and you were just talking about what it would mean if the Vikings would add to their lead, but they didn't on the play. And it's Simeon Rice forcing the fumble and then getting it back. We'll be right back. Simeon Rice all excited, forcing the fumble and getting the ball back for the Cardinals, who start from the 12-yard line. So it is still a 10-point lead for the Vikings, 17-7. Empty backfield for Jake Plummer, who has to get rid of it in a hurry.
Let's go back to that previous play and watch Simeon Rice. Remember I said you can't be effective outside unless you take the inside. So he sets it up with that earlier inside move, and then, boom, around the backside with pure speed. Now, what affects that, as you see him making the fumble recovery, what affects that is the depth of that pull of the quarterback as he rolls. If he gets a little too deep, then you lose the relationship between what the tackle expects and what the quarterback expects.
8 turnovers in his last 3 games for Culpepper. 2nd and 10 for the Cardinals. And Michael Pittman breaks a tackle and gets about 8 or 9 yards on the play.
Heck, that looks like a first pick. Maybe not.
Well, they haven't spotted the ball yet, so you may be right, and we may have a measurement. Notice on the fumble recovery, the great hustle that Rice had going after it the same time that Robert Smith did.
Yeah, did not quit on it. Kept on going. He slapped that thing away, it flopped around, and then he got back in on it.
Here's Bubby Brister, who's the backup quarterback and has been a big asset for Culpepper since he's come in. And they are short by that much. 3:28 remaining, 3rd quarter. The Vikings getting a touchdown on a Culpepper to Randy Moss pass. And then they were on the 8-yard line when Culpepper was forced to fumble. And the Cardinals now needing less than a yard for a first down. It'll be 3rd down. Here's Pittman, first down. Michael Pittman just storming up the middle. And we wind down to 3 minutes to go, and the Cardinals down by 10. And a surprising game because the Cardinals have never done well here at the Metrodome. Coming off their 3rd win of the year, the Vikings trying to break a 2-game losing streak themselves.
There's a good coach right there, Mike Tice. Former college quarterback, played tight end in this league for a long time, understands, and he's good with his players, and he's good with the scheme. Really good in the running game. It's a good coach.
First down at the 23. Randall chasing Plummer. And Plummer trying to throw it away. It'll go as incomplete, but Robert Tate grabbed the ball, and it went out of bounds. And right now, let's check in with James Brown for a game break.
One thing as a coach, you create controversies or not, the best thing about them is as long as they keep winning, you don't care who got it. Just keep chugging along.
They don't like each other, who cares?
Doesn't make a bit of difference, just play.
2nd and 10 on the Cardinal 23. Short drop that time, and the flag goes down. And a delay of the game penalty.
Delay of the game. Offense.
So 5 more yards.
2nd down.
You know that?
2nd down and 15 will be upcoming. Jake Plummer, 12 for 18. Michael Pittman scoring the lone Arizona touchdown, and also leading the team in receiving with 6 catches.
And they said they had to get the ball into the hands of Boston on the outside and Sanders, and that's not happened since early in the game.
They're not 100% in all fairness, as Plummer goes underneath to Pittman, and Pittman dives forward about 1.5 yards shy of the first down. Keith Thibodeau, the nickel corner, making the stop.
So, Dick, if you have 2 receivers like Boston and Sanders who are nicked, what you can do, though, is you can still use them against the scheme, which is what they did there. So they deploy them to the right, and they line them up side by side, and they run them down, and they run the defense off the field. Then you take your running back and dump it back underneath and let him just run for as much yardage as he can get.
Boston has only 1 catch today. Frankie Sanders 4. Thomas Jones is in the backfield. And it's play action, and Plummer looking to throw, and the pass blocked by the tight end, Terry Hardy, and a first down to the Cardinal 42. Tyrone Carter with a hit, but not before they moved the stick.
Well, they did a good job of getting John Randall blocked, and you see who chipped him first? They chipped him with the tight end, the same guy who made the catch, and he turned it over to Thomas Jones. But Hardy, first of all, it's first things first. You get your chip, you get into your route, and then get down the field. And because of his chip, they had enough time to be able to make that completion.
First down at the 42 for Arizona. Retaping Chris Carter's ankle. Another play action pass coming up, and this one is caught again. David Boston with his second catch. And he looked pretty nifty on that run. Gets the first down to the Viking 45.
But Dick, I could see that David Boston's not, he's probably running at about 75%. I mean, if this was a healthy David Boston, he hits another gear. Just another catch by Dave Boston. See that? You can see him limping right there.
But they have to go to him so that the defense is aware that he'll be around.
And credit to him that he's fighting through this thing.
First down at the Viking 45. Thomas Jones with a penalty flag now. And holding will be the call against the Cardinals.
Well, that's coming from the umpire, and the umpire is responsible for the 3 inside offensive players, the center and both guards. That's Mike Grudidorio. Looks like they're going to call it on.
Holding, number 60, offense. 10 yards, repeat the down, first down.
Former St. Louis Ram. And a penalty marked off to the 45 of Arizona with 17 seconds and running remaining here in the third quarter.
You know, that's rare. Grudidorio is a rare center because he has a waist. Most of them got stuff hanging off him. Grudidorio actually has a little bit of a V shape.
You don't mean W-A-S-T-E either.
No, no.
And that is the end of the third quarter with the score. The Vikings 17, the Cardinals 7. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after a word from your local Fox station. Start of the fourth quarter here at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Dick Stockton, Matt Millen, Pam Oliver with us as the Vikings lead the Cardinals 17-7. And a first down at 20 coming up for Arizona on their own 45. Jake Plummer to throw. And the pass intended for Sanders is incomplete.
Better pass than Kylie Wong would have had his hands on it. Jake Plummer has been able to buy a little bit of time with his speed in the pocket at times, but I think for the most part the offensive line of the Cardinals has done a solid job in pass protection, but in the run game they've been getting manhandled.
And the last 2 weeks, Matt, the biggest thing going for them, though they trailed today, is that they haven't beaten themselves. That's one thing Plummer has not done. He hasn't put up big numbers, but hasn't made critical mistakes.
And you're dialing one up right now.
I think he heard the play and not us. Second down and 20, but you never know. Randall going after Plummer and is firing the pass out of bounds. Smart play by Jake Plummer, who had nowhere to go.
John Randall's not had a lot of sacks or tackles, but his presence been felt all game long. He's schooling that poor young tackle Clement over there. He has just been, you know, typical John Randall. He beats him with the spin to the inside. There's a penalty I didn't like. Another spin. See, all he's doing, he's waiting. He gets a little help from his friend there. It's just a matter of speed, and then he'll combine speed with that spin move, and all that means he's just going to give the tongue back to Clement.
Move from under tackle to defensive end in the 5th week of the season while the Vikings shuffled their defensive line. And Jake Plummer calling a timeout here early in the fourth quarter.
これはね、ベロをボワーッと出してね、すごい競争するんですよ。
Rugby no all block.
That trio right there, you can see the guy in the middle, Chris Carter, he's a coach on the field for both those players. And what it does for Chris Carter is it gets them on his page, but it also reminds him of what's going on out there in the field, because he's got to be writing his explanation as well.
And you know, he advises or talks to Dennis Green as well, and Green listens to what Chris Carter has to say.
Good. He's a really good football mind.
after the timeout by the Cardinals. 3rd down and 20. And the screen set up to Pittman, who's got some blockers. And Pittman is going to be stopped well short of first down yardage by Tyrone Carter. Fumble on the play.
We don't see anybody.
Let's see if it was blown dead.
There was a memo that went around that says in the event that there's a question between down by contact or fumble, let it go for a fumble.
Vikings get it.
And then they could always challenge it.
So Tyrone Carter was right on it from the beginning.
There's the hit by Carter. Oh, that's a fumble all the way. That's a good call by the official.
And Robert Tate is going to come up with it. And the Vikings.
Watch Robert Tate. Now he's in coverage to the outside and he sees the ball inside. That's just good hustle. That's good hustle and running to the football. And that's invaluable, as is the hit from Tyrone Carter.
Coming into this game, the Vikings have the fewest takeaways in the NFL with only 8. Now they've got one. Good field position on their 45. 2 tight ends for Minnesota. Hand off to Robert Smith. And he breaks the tackle by Ronald McKinnon and gets another yard. Right now, let's send it over to James Brown for a game break. JB? Pretty impressive defensive play by the Saints.
They're playing a lot of confidence, Dick.
Came in only a game behind the Rams, unbelievably so, as Culpepper looking for Moss. He's got it down the sidelines and out of bounds at the 25.
What a great play by Culpepper in being patient, because Aeneas Williams was all over him. He got his jam early, stayed with it, rode him, and Culpepper had the confidence that Moss would remain and get open. Because, I should say remain, but that he would work to get open, because Aeneas Williams was all over him. And right as Aeneas Williams released him, watch this jam, the ball's in the air. That's great confidence. And so that shows you right where that little conversation on the sideline, where that pays dividends.
Gain of 26 yards, and again they keep it on the ground. Robert Smith and McKinnon making the tackle, but not before Smith getting about 7 yards on the play. And now the Vikings really rolling, trying to get that touchdown they didn't get before.
Now that is not limited just to all that coaching and talking to the sideline in the game. It goes on all game long. And as you look at most of these pictures, the guy who's going to be doing most of the talking is Chris Carter right there. He'll try to get them all on the same page. He's played for such a long time, and his game is about...
Penalty called against the Vikings. Todd Stussy with a false start, but Robert Smith on that last carry went over 1,000 yards on the season. He came in needing 92, and it's his 4th year with 1,000 or more, and this just being the 10th game of the year.
Well, that's good. The 10th game's the key. But the 1,000-yard season to me means nothing anymore. Because in this game now, you should have 1,500 as the standard. 1,000 is not what it was when Jim Brown played.
See the yellow marker, that's where the Vikings need to go for the first down. And Culpepper on the screen goes to Robert Smith. And Smith is stopped from behind by Mark Smith. No gain.
1,000 yards in this league in 10 games, that's saying something. And now you're having a fantastic year. And that you should take pride in that, not only as you as an individual, but you should take pride in that as an offensive line.
And you're averaging 100 yards a game,
That's
so
just
that's
right.
legitimate.
That's big time. 1,500 should be the standard by which guys are judged now in a 16-game schedule.
3rd and 7 on the 22 of the Cardinals. Caught by Moss. First down at the 5. The elusive Randy Moss, who only had 2 catches at halftime, now has 6 in this game.
Well, watch Aeneas Williams, how he holds the outside. See, he's holding the outside because he's expecting some help to be to the inside. Kwame Lassiter got a little bit too high. Was playing up inside. Moss took advantage of that. Now, when you're a corner, you have to know where your help is coming from. So he played it that way. He held the outside, forced him to the inside. Now the safety has to blow him up.
A lot more productive in the second half is Randy Moss. 4 wide receivers. And going up the middle is the new 1,000-yard rusher, Robert Smith, who was first and goal at the 5, and he picks up 2.
I think Mike Tice, we showed you him earlier, the offensive line coach. I think he's done a good job with his offense. Remember, this offseason, when they lost the 2 players to the inside, 2 Pro Bowlers, Randall McDaniel, number 64, was the left guard, and then the center. They also lost both of them down to Tampa Bay. Now it's Jeff Christie. When they lost them, he had to retool, and he's done a fantastic job with this offensive line.
3 tight ends for the Vikings. Second out and goal, and here is Culpepper, and he knows he's going to walk in. Touchdown, Vikings. So he has thrown for 2 and run for 1.
That, Dick, goes right on the shoulders of Sherm Lewis, their offensive coordinator. That was really a good call. They're having great success. Their offensive line is schooling everybody. And you just use that against the defense. Watch Pat Tillman. He knows he's got a nose for the ball. But he knew it. See his head down? He was disgusted that he bit.
5th touchdown on the ground for Culpepper, and Gary Anderson adds the extra point. And the Vikings now lead it by a score of 24-7. Culpepper with the rushing score as the Vikings try to make it 10 in a row here at home.
大きさで、はい、ねえ、いやもうサイズあり、肩が強い、そしてスピードがあるというかもう。
17 unanswered points by the Vikings, and they've run them off since the first quarter, and lead it 24-7. Mitch Berger kicking off Marte Jenkins from about 2 yards in the end zone, and Jenkins brings it out to the 22-yard line. Dante Culpepper doing his part to try to end the Vikings' 2-game losing streak.
なるほど。でもこれでカーペッパーは彼自身としては5本目でしょう。タッチダウン、ラッシングタッチダウン。ね、もう。
Vikings able to capitalize on a Cardinal fumble and score. Arizona has forced 2 turnovers by the Vikings today, but have not been able to counter. As you look at the scoring drive, 24-7 in favor of Minnesota. First down for the Cardinals on their 22. Big Plummer handing off to Pittman, getting some running room off the right side, and knocked out of bounds after picking up the first down.
Now what you'll watch is things change. Now when you have the lead that you have, a 17-point lead, now the safeties for Minnesota are going to play deep. And when they do that, and we showed it to you earlier in the game, now your force comes from your corners. Your wide receivers can get on them, and you have yourself, you watch both those safeties are deep down here. See? Now your corners have to have force. If you get your wide receivers on them, you can get to the edge in a running game.
Up the middle, Gendy with the reception, and a first down at the 47-yard line. Rudd on the coverage, and a gain of 12 yards. Interesting that the Cardinals' first play was a running play, even though they're down by 17.
Well, that's a case in point of what the defense gives you. Because when you see that coverage, you have to attack them where they're weak. And so that's on the edge to the outside. You can bounce it. And then also the second play is another weakness of that defense. It's right down the middle.
David Boston on the sidelines right now as the Cardinals using Jenkins, Cody, and Sanders. And right now using Thomas Jones on the running play, and he picks up a couple.
We haven't really said much about the down 4 of the Minnesota Vikings other than John Randall, but I'll be honest with you, Williams, Hovan, Burrows is in there, Sawyer, Randall, they've all played very well, and they've played physical. And they're not a big group, but they have gotten the best of this offensive line in the running game.
Second down and 8:34 to go in the fourth quarter, and the pass off the hands of Marte Jenkins. And He found the seam but couldn't hold on, bringing up 3rd down.
Would have been a tough catch, but it's a catch he has to make. It has to be a better throw from the quarterback. He threw that thing a little bit to the backside of him. You can't waste opportunities. We've seen a couple of wasted opportunities. Marte Jenkins working outside, turning it over in the zone. See how the ball's going to the backside of him, and it's a hard catch, but you got to make those catches.
3rd down and 8. Crowd goes up a decibel. Out of the shotgun, Plummer. Low snap. Pressure put on by Sawyer, and the ball is loose. It's a free ball, and Plummer recovers, but way back at the 36-yard line. To Lance Sawyer was not to be denied. And Randall also getting in on Plummer, and 4th down coming up.
These offensive tackles for the Arizona Cardinals have not had a good day with speed on this turf. This is Shelton, the rookie. Sawyer got to his top shoulder. Once you're there, you're beat. You are clear beat. Now watch John Randall. See, he tried to grab him to pull him back so he couldn't get there, but a good effort by Plummer to get to the football.
The snap is on a bounce, but Scott Player manages to get the kickoff. David Palmer on the return, and he is tackled by Sekou Sanyika. So Vikings get it back, leading 24-7.
ってきました。17点のリードですからね。
もうちょっと頑張ってほしいです。特別はね、ミネソタとアリゾナはすごく。
Watch David Barrett, the rookie on this side. He's going to get schooled a little bit by Keith Thibodeau and Waswa Sirwanga right there on the outside. When you get out there, you have to have a plan. And part of your plan is a contingency if you're stopped on your first move. You have to be able to go quickly into the second one. If you don't, you get stoned like you just saw.
From the 24-yard line with 8:04 remaining in the 4th. Rolling out is Dante Culpepper, and he hits Moss, good enough for a 1st down. And talking about Culpepper, Dennis Green with great praise, and the other day he told us that Dante Culpepper is as good an athlete as Randy Moss. Speaking volumes with that comment.
Well, Moss is very high up on the list in terms of athletic ability. And watching Dante Culpepper, you can see why he'd make that statement, because he does some things, forget size, he does some things as an athlete that you just don't do.
1st down, Robert Smith, who is going over 1,000 yards today, picking up 3. And Dante Culpepper, a scrambler of sorts, reminds you of a former Viking quarterback who used to scramble. Who else? Well, here's Culpepper doing his magic, a lot bigger than this guy, Fran Tarkenton.
Yeah, but the result is the same thing. And it's the way you do it. You know, in the beginning, Fran Tarkenton was looked at as so unconventional that that's not the way quarterbackers play in this league. Now let's fast forward 30 years, and that's what everybody is looking for. The stuff that Fran the man had, the ability to make you miss and still make a play.
2nd down and 6. Mo Williams is in the game, but Culpepper looking to throw. And he fires it out of bounds, and the flag comes down from the secondary.
This is on Sheamus. It was not a complete double move, but Chris Carter saw that the quarterback.
Illegal contact, number 25, defense, 5 yards,
the man.
Yeah, he saw that Culpepper was in trouble, and so he broke his route off. Watch, he breaks his route off. Now he decides to go deep, and that's where Sheamus comes up and gets the jam, which of course draws the flag. Good call.
Rookie Jabari Issa putting the pressure on Dante Culpepper.
Well, we got some names out here today, don't we?
And it all starts with Kwame Lassiter. Let's face it,
he's the best.
Mo Williams on the carry, straight ahead. And Williams spelling Robert Smith, who left the game with 100 yards exactly with his performance today, including a receiving touchdown. He carried the ball 18 times, going over 1,000 yards. And there is Robert Smith. May come back to this one, but Mo Williams in there now, and he picked up about 5 on that play.
One thing that happens with Robert Smith is he has those receivers outside that demand such attention that sometimes he can get lost in the whole equation, and that's where he kills him. Culpepper sees something and likes to try to take advantage of it. He's got 1-3 and man-to-man outside.
2nd down and 5. Culpepper's got a chance downfield. He's got it. He saw it and got it. Chris Carter. And down by contact was Carter. So the Vikings will keep it, and they'll get another first down inside the 30-yard line.
That was on the shoulders of Culpepper, and actually what it was his vision.
Catch. Down by contact is ruled first down.
23 yards on that pass play.
Watch Culpepper at the line of scrimmage. Now he knows what he wants, so they go with a little bit of play action, trying to hold those people, and then he knows the inside, because they were in that one deep safety, the inside is going to be open, and he took advantage of it.
9 catches for 103 yards for Chris Carter.
They're gonna challenge us. The Cardinals will. They're gonna say that he wasn't down, but once they point to down by contact,
blow the whistle.
You cannot challenge. Oh no! Once you point down to down by contact, you can't challenge it. Now there's the ball.
It's not reviewable if they say down by contact.
So the knee is down when he pulls it out. And they'll explain that to him. You can't do it.
Arizona is not challenging the ruling on the field. First down.
And the reason is because when you point.
Down by contact.
You got it.
Down by contact.
Good job by Bob McElwee. You can see the official's going to come from the top. See the finger pointing down? Once he points down, it's non-reviewable. It was a good call by the official.
First down at the 29-yard line. Robert Smith back in there with 100 yards today. Smith finding an opening. The offensive line opening up just enough for Robert Smith. Another first down to the 15. Right now, let's check in with James Brown on a game break. JB.
That one's far from over because they're going to keep on pounding. You can run at that Philadelphia defense. They'll give you a lot of different looks. They try to get you off balance. Well, with a little bit of hammer inside, you can get them.
Vikings with a first down on the Cardinal 14. Trying to put this one away. Robert Smith stumbles after picking up 1 yard on the play. Well, the Arizona Cardinals coming in following a win over the Washington Redskins, and it appears that Proposition 302 in Arizona will pass, although it is not official yet. They've got a lead right now, and they still have votes that have not been counted. And we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about that issue, but if it goes through, it would result in a new stadium for the Arizona Cardinals and a lot of other things for the sports horizon in Arizona. Second down and 8 from the 12-yard line. Culpepper with time, throws it, and it's knocked down. It was intended for Johnny McWilliams, and Pat Tillman applying the crunch.
Tillman read it perfectly, waited for it. See, Culpepper's trying to find him come across. And that's exactly what Tillman is watching initially, and then it's zero in. Good hit. Shoulder hit right to the chest. Well done. Tillman's played well for 3 weeks in a row now. He has played well, Dick. And I got to say something. I think what we said at halftime, Chris Collinsworth, Terry Bradshaw, Howie Long, they recognize that this team is playing much better. I mean, and I believe it. They have a couple of players they have to get healthy, and then they need a few more pieces of the puzzle. But McGinnis has done a good job.
Third down and 8, and the pass to Carter. Touchdown. Both officials agree that his feet were in the end zone. And Chris Carter, who has caught more touchdown passes against the Cardinals franchise than any other team in his career, that's number 13. And that's where he is on the all-time list of touchdown reception.
There's 55 more to go. This is a good job by Culpepper staying with it. Now watch the concentration. 1 foot in. You know, Chavis is right there. The ball's the only place it could be. That's a good football play all the way around.
12-yard pass play. 30-7 the score. Gary Anderson makes it 31. So Dante Culpepper, with 3 touchdown passes and running for 1, hits the veteran with 3:45 left.
もん。
なんかもう
みんな使いますね。
できすぎですよ。もうみんなできすぎ。うまく、そしてあとカーターがですね。
It's 31-7 and 24 unanswered points by the Vikings, and all of their stars have played a role. For Carter, his 100th touchdown with Minnesota. Culpepper with 3 touchdown passes, giving him 20 on the year. And Robert Smith, Randy Moss, and Chris Carter have each caught 1. Marte Jenkins on the return for Arizona. And Jenkins with a hurdle, and this is a foot race. Marte Jenkins headed for the end zone. It would be a 99-yard touchdown with no flags. And it is a touchdown for the Cardinals.
They hit the crease. They tried to hit it all day long. They've been trying to get this middle return, Dick. And I was thinking to myself earlier, why do they keep on hitting the middle? Why do they keep on trying to do it? Well, there's your reason. A couple of guys jumped outside and opened the middle. And once that opened, then Marte Jenkins jumped over the kicker, and there was nobody on the field who could catch him. They even had an angle on him, but Marte Jenkins outran the angle.
He came in number 2 in the NFC in the kickoff returns. He had a 71-yarder last week and a good,
pathetic. But he's a kicker.
He didn't run away from him. First touchdown for Marte Jenkins, and the kick is good.
Tackle him.
You know, anytime I can talk about kickers.
Seriously, you don't have to make the tackle. All he had to do was slow him down. He didn't get that done either.
99 yards, spectacular.
それはカルノズオフェンス。
そうですね。これで31対14ということになったわけでありますが。
And a milestone for the Cardinals, their first kickoff return for a touchdown since 1979. That's how many games, that's how many returns, and Roy Green, a brilliant two-way player.
Forget two-way, three-way.
Three-way, that's right.
That man could do it all. Roy Green was Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders and all those guys before they were ever there. Roy Green was playing defense, offense, and special teams, and nobody said anything about him at the time. He was a phenomenal player.
A true triple threat.
Oh, he was the real deal.
And now the Cardinals lining up for an onside kick, trailing the Vikings 31-14 with 3.5 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter. Remember, the kick has to go 10 yards to be recovered by the kicking team. And it's Carrie Blanchard, and it's grabbed by a Viking, Chris Walsh. Talk about good hands, people. Walsh is at the top of the list. Well, tonight it's a night of surprises with The Simpsons' new surprise guest star, Drew Barrymore. Malcolm's birthday surprise bash and a new X-Files secret that's yet to be found. It all starts with Futurama and King of the Hill tonight at 7, 6 Central, right here on Fox.
Dick, you said earlier about Dante Culpepper, one of the guys who's been such a big help to him has been Bubby Brister. Now Bubby's going to get out the mop and clean things up a little bit.
Brister taking over, first and 10 at the 39-yard line. 31-14 the score. Bo Williams picking up about 3 yards on the play. And a timeout called by Arizona. We'll be right back.
Timeout, Arizona.
しかしブリスターっていう人はね、MLB でもプレーをしたんですね。
Back here at the Metrodome with 3:18 to go in the second half of our doubleheader, the St. Louis Rams go against the New York Giants in the feature game. Both teams 7-2, and the Rams playing without Marshall Faulk,
who I happen to believe is the most complete player in this league, probably the league's MVP. He's going to be out for a few weeks. In fact, what's happened with him is they've had to replace him with more than one guy. And Trung Canada, the rookie #1 pick that they picked up, but they were counting on a lot to play, will get a big show this week in New York on that grass. And then Justin Watson, the other guy, they're going to split those things. Trent Green, of course, is playing, and he hopes to put numbers up like Dante Culpepper did today.
And the rookie Ron Dane, who has had a successful rookie year for the Giants. Second down and 6. Bubby Brister completes to Chris Carter, who's gone over 100 yards today. This is Brister's first action this season. Zach Wall's making the tackle, and the Cardinals will use up their last timeout. And the Vikings, with a prolific offense, they've got weapons, and they used them all today, from Robert Smith with a 33-yard catch and run for a touchdown, to Dante Culpepper finding Randy Moss. Culpepper himself running for a touchdown. And then Chris Carter with his 100th touchdown as a Viking. They all were involved today big time.
And of course, we're going to show all those guys to the outside. But for my money now, Dick, as you look at those offensive leader numbers, you have to go back and look at the offensive line. And those men are the key, because they opened all those holes for Robert Smith running. They gave protection to Dante Culpepper, and they allowed the time for the receivers to be able to find those holes in the various zones and man-to-man coverages. So I mean, you know, we'll look at all those numbers, but for me, I got to go back to those pigs inside. They did a good job.
Pigs not in a blanket as far as the Vikings are concerned. 3rd down and 2, and if it was a blanket, it would be a purple one.
Pigs in a blanket, that's Haluki. Boy, I eat that all the time.
Rob Fredrickson making the stop on Mo Williams, and taking a look now at the offensive line. 159 rushing yards, only 1 sack allowed.
Part of that is getting rid of the ball and the movement of Culpepper. The bigger part, though, is that this offensive line here, they played pretty darn good. Stussy had a couple of problems on the outside and the edge, but Mike Tice, I think, has done a good job. Big David Dixon standing right there next to him.
4th down and 1 for the Vikings, with 2.5 minutes remaining. And Bubby Brister will call the timeout. So the score, 31-14 in favor of the Minnesota Vikings, and a chance to thank the crew. Did an outstanding job today. Our game being produced by Richie Zients and directed by Artie Kempner. The associate director is Greg Scobatoni, and the broadcast associates are Jacob Ullman and Josh Weingrad. The technical producer, Dean Walker, and his technical staff. Pre-game show produced by Scott Ackerson and directed by Bob Levy. The senior producer is Bill Brown, and the executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill. And thanks up here to Chris Visser, our spotter, and Dave Corris, our statistician, as the Vikings head for their 8th win in 10 tries. And the nightmare for the Cardinals coming here to the Metrodome continues. They have been shellacked the last 4 times by big numbers.
And part of that is they just haven't been able, you know, we said earlier, they at the half, they were in this game. They had that bizarre non-kick for the field goal, but other than that, if they get their players back healthy, especially in the passing game, they're not a bad team. I think your offensive line has to get better.
4th and 1 pass.
Incomplete.
No good. They were trying to go to Randy Moss. It looked like an alley-oop in basketball.
The difference, see, between the NBA and the NFL, when you alley-oop here, you got to keep your feet on the ground.
Good point by you. So with 2:22 to go, the Cardinals will take over on downs.
My son Marcus is with me up here in the booth, and he just whipped out a Mitch Burger bar. It doesn't look very good. That's ugly. What the heck is that? That is not a good thing.
Well, if you would feed him better, he wouldn't resort to a Mitch Burger bar, which I understand a lot of people think it's awfully tasty and it goes to charity, which is really the purpose of the whole thing.
That is the whole key. I got to school my son a little bit. When you have a burger bar, you don't throw it in your pocket where it comes.
Bringing up the youngster. Okay, Plummer completing the pass to Frank Sanders for about 8 yards as we get down close to the 2-minute warning, and the Cardinals still fighting. That's a credit to Dave McGinnis.
That's exactly, and that is, you're watching Dave McGinnis in action. He's not going to go down without swinging.
2nd down and 3, and 1st down pass to Thomas Jones. And now a fumble by Jones, and the Vikings claiming that they have it back. We'll wait for an official's call, and it is Minnesota ball. So Jones caught the pass and lost it, and Lemansky Hall, number 55, recovered for the Vikings. So after only 8 takeaways coming into this game, low in the NFL, they've got 2 of them. here in the second half of this game. Now the officials will huddle.
Well, they say see if he's down. I didn't see anybody pointing.
It is Minnesota ball, apparently.
Well, there's the hit. He's pulling it, he's pulling it, he's putting it. Knee's still not on the ground. Knee's on the ground.
Unless they ruled out by contact, and if they did, it's still Cardinal ball.
That's a tough call. That's a tough call because you have to see when the control is made. And apparently, it is going to be Minnesota's ball.
2-minute warning in any event. We'll be right back.
SEM 住友伝説の目指すもの、それは時代を先駆ける創造性、それは人間への快適性、それはニーズに応える信頼性、エネルギーで環境で、そして情報通信で明日のシステムを提案します。 SEM 住友伝説。
特選米朝落語全集。耳切るわけにいかおいなんじゃおいハギじゃベカコ顔を突き出しただけたまらんいけにせ円軸の極地米朝落語の真髄を集大成。ビデオ全30巻 CD カセット各全40巻お求めお問い合わせはご覧のところまで。
夢のタッグここに誕生。ガオラで全日本プロレス放送開始。第1回目は2000サマーアクションシリーズ14大会の熱戦を11月4日午後8時30分より1時間半にわたりオン・ジ・エア。そして第2回放送は2000サマーアクションシリーズ2.9.2日本武道館大会の模様を11月25日午後8時よりたっぷりとお届けします。報道はここにある。
オランダリーグサッカーエールディビジリーグも前半戦の折り返しを迎える12月、好調のペイエノールとペイエスペイに対し若手メンバー主催で名門復活を狙うアヤックス。他注目のカードが続々登場。放送はご覧の通り。特に12月10日の伝統の一戦ペイエノールと対アヤックス戦は必見。オランダリーグサッカーエールディビジお楽しみに。
Two-minute warning is history on the Minnesota Vikings in Cardinal territory. And the first down handoff is to Mo Williams. The Minnesota Vikings next week will play host to the Carolina Panthers. And their schedule is kind of in favor of them the rest of the way. Their 3 road games are at Dallas and 2 tough road games at St. Louis and Green Bay. But they'll be home with Carolina, Detroit, and the return engagement against the Green Bay Packers as they try to stay ahead of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now Tampa Bay and Green Bay play next, and the winner of that game will move into, or at least if Tampa Bay wins, would still be 2 games behind the Vikings. The Vikings, Rams, and Giants all with the same record coming into today's action at 7-2.
This is the time of the game when on the winning team, they're rare and you enjoy them. So you relax, you drop your guard, you start taking your tape off, sit around and you look forward to next week. And it's one of the rare times in the season where you can look at a teammate and still talk about it while the game's being played. I always enjoyed them.
31 points put up by the Vikings today, matching their season's high against the Lions on the road and the Bills here at the Metrodome. So the 2-game losing streak is history, and the Vikings will go to 8-2. And the Arizona Cardinals will drop to 3-7. With a game coming up next week against the Philadelphia Eagles. So that will be the last play of the game. It was close for a while. 7-7 after 1 quarter. 10-7 the Vikings led at halftime, and then they ran off 24 unanswered points. And other than Marte Jenkins' spectacular 99-yard kickoff return to close the scoring, it was all Vikings in the second half. So the final score here at the Metrodome, the Vikings 31, Cardinals 14. We'll be back here in Minneapolis in just a moment.
今日はこの試合 鹿島ディアーズのヘッドコーチ、そして現在は専修大学のオフェンシブコーディネーターの高野元秀さんです。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
よろしくお願いいたします。
ホームのニューオーリンズ・セインツ、ここのところ、勝ち越しのシーズンがありません。非常に苦しんでいます。プレーオフの出場も7年連続ありません。去年の3敗というのはクリーブランドに次ぐワースト2位という内容でした。
そうですね。
しかし今年はメンバーが大幅に入れ替わって全く変わりました。今シーズンのセインツというのはシンデレラチームの可能性すら感じさせるというここまでの活躍ぶりです。両チームのディビジョンの成績ご覧いただきますが、左側オークランドレイダースはご存知のように AFC ウエストでトップの8勝2敗です。一方のセインツがラムズを追って7勝3敗ですから、ここ数年では一番いい成績なんですよね。
そうですね。ここ5年間で一番勝った数のもうすでにここまでで勝ってしまってるわけですからね。
この直接対決は過去4勝3敗でレイダースが1つリード。そしてこのスーパードームでのゲームといいますと91年以来、カンファレンスの違う両チームの対戦久々です。そういう中で両チームの今シーズンの成績、黄色の数字が特に目立った数字ということで、セインツはですね、ディフェンス面で2つですよね。
そうですね。やはりランが全体4位、パスが7位、トータルが3位ですよね。これはもう本当に素晴らしい成績ですよね。
したがって今日はレイダースのオフェンスに対してセインツのディフェンスがどう頑張るかというのがね、この数字から言えることだと思いますよね。そういう中で両チーム
Alive, that's Toby Goen, the punter for the Saints. He's their kickoff specialist. And David Dunn, number 88, a big return man. He's 6'3" and 220, acquired by Oakland this year. As a free agent, he played his college ball with Trent Dilfer at Fresno State. Goen delivers the opening punch, and it's done at the goal line. Hit at the 15 and down at the 17. Fumbles, picked up by the Saints, but I believe they're going to rule the play dead. As veteran Chris Oldham came up with the football. Rob Kelly was in there to make the hit. But they're ruling that Dunn was down, but a spirited start for the New Orleans Saints. And Oakland takes over at the 17.
Well, we go right to the replay right off the bat. Let's watch Dunn. Here comes the hit. There's Kelly right off to the side. You can see his right knee hit the ground. The officials rule it down. Good break for the Raiders.
Veteran Rich Gannon, who made it to the Pro Bowl a year ago at quarterback, and he hands off to Zach Crockett. Crockett getting the start. He's the big back, 240 pounds, with Tyrone Wheatley sidelined inactive today. Bonnie?
Hi there, guys. Well, the Raiders only had 38 yards rushing against Denver, but don't expect them to abandon the run today. Zach Crockett will be filling in for the injured Ty Wheatley. Napoleon Humphrey will always also get his share. The one thing you might see a little bit more of is the no-huddle. John Gruden says his players have been lobbying him to use it more, and against the Saints defense, it mixes it up so much, it might be a good ploy, guys.
But he's concerned about the noise, Bonnie. Thank you. As Crockett bulling his way for 6 more and close to a first down at the 26-yard line before Sammy Knight and Norman Hand can make the tackle. Let's check the starting lineup for the Oakland Raiders with Sims, Wisniewski, a 7-time Pro Bowler, Robbins, Collinson, Kennedy up front. Zach Crockett starts with John Ritchie, the veteran Tim Brown, the all-time receiver in Raiders history with James Jett, the speedster outside, and Ricky Dudley, the big tight end. Rich Gannon from the University of Delaware. He's one of the few ever in the NFL who lettered 3 years in crew in Philadelphia and high school. Good training for the weather we've had in New Orleans this week. Crockett tries the left side, and I don't believe he made it. He stopped right at the line of scrimmage. He needed a long yard, and it appears they have nailed the Raider ball carrier at the 26.
If you're going by the marker that's on the far side of the field, I agree with you, Dick.
And they have marked it 4th and about a half yard, and that forces the punting team. Here's the Saints starting defense. Darren Howard, Norman Hand, Leroy Glover, 13 sacks. Joe Johnson with Mitchell Smith and Fields the backers. And there's your deep secondary of Mathis, Perry, Knight, and Weary. They weren't on the field long, were they? The rookie Shane Leckler to punt, and Chad Morton, the rookie from Southern California, back for the Saints. at the 28, 40, and out of bounds at the 47-yard line. Knocked out by Eric Johnson, who flirted with a penalty. He made contact beyond the sidelines. 46 on the punt, 19 on the return. And here comes Jeff Blake, acquired as an unrestricted free agent from the Cincinnati Bengals. Played his college ball at East Carolina. Threat not only with his arm, but an excellent scrambler. He's rushed for nearly 250 yards this season. Saints starting slowly, 1-3 under new coach Jim Haslett. Put together a 6-game winning streak. And they start with excellent field position at their own 47-yard line. Playing without Ricky Williams, out for the season, broken ankle last week at Carolina. That's Terrell Smith, the fullback in motion, the quick toss. And it's Joe Horn, the leading receiver, met quickly by Marquez Pope, who came up from safety. Horn, 57 catches, tops for New Orleans this year, former Kansas City Chief. Here are the Saints offensively with 6-time Pro Bowler William Roth, Wally Williams, Fontenot, Naoli, and Turley up front. Haslett says Roth and Turley the best offensive tackles in the league. Morton and Terrell Smith, 2 rookies in the backfield with Jackson and Horn, the wide receivers, and Andrew Glover, the ex-Raider at tight end. And after the play, flags have flown.
We saw that Joe Horn was having trouble getting up. There was a confrontation with some of the Raiders' defensive backs. And when you talk about late flags, they came out so late that both teams were all the way back in their huddles.
Tony Correnti signals unsportsmanlike conduct against New Orleans. Horn, a very vocal player. Animated.
After all the continuing action of the play was involved, unsportsmanlike conduct, offense, number 87, 15-yard penalty. The play will be counted, second down.
Well, the Raiders got what they wanted. They frustrated Joe Horn to the point where he gets called for the unsportsmanlike conduct, and how quickly marvelous field position for the Saints evaporates. Horn first down up at the 47-yard line. Now they're all the way back to 31.
Horn was fined $5,000 for excessive celebration, touchdown a week ago. Said he's going to temper his emotions, not so in the first play. So from the 31, play action for Blake. Scrambles, throws, and throws it away. Tony Bryant, number 94, the defensive end from Florida State, pressuring Blake. And here are the Raiders defensively with Bryant Jackson, the big man, and Darrell Russell, last 2 Pro Bowls. Lance Johnstone, the pass rusher. William Thomas, the former Eagle, with Beekert, the leading tackler, and Elijah Alexander. Those are the backers. The back 4 features Charles Woodson from Michigan, 2-time Pro Bowler. Dorsett and Pope at safety. Eric Allen, the veteran, also an ex-Eagle at the other corner.
Well, you script a beginning of a game, everybody goes through it, but you don't script this.
Look at this, 5 defensive backs are 20 yards downfield as Blake looks and fires to Keith Poole, but he's hit immediately at the 47. That's just about where this drive started for New Orleans.
There's a flag on the far side of the field, Dick, over about the 32-yard line. The Raiders signaling that this is going to be against the Saints. If so, even though it's 4th down, you got to think that maybe they'll have them try it again, because this is good field position for the Saints to put the Raiders deep with a decent punt.
John Gruden saying no, we'll decline it.
Decline it. That's